Have you ever found yourself sighing in frustration when opening a kitchen cabinet, only to see an avalanche of lidless containers tumbling out? Or perhaps you've given up on cooking something special because you simply couldn't find that crucial spice you swear you bought last week. If your kitchen looks more like a disorganized battlefield than a culinary sanctuary, you're not alone. Believe me, kitchen disorganization goes far beyond an aesthetic issue. It directly impacts your meals, your time, and, surprisingly, even your mood. In this video, we'll dive deep into the 7 classic signs that your kitchen is crying for help and how each of them can sabotage your cooking experience and daily well-being. Get ready to identify the villains of your mess and discover why tackling them is the first step towards a more functional, enjoyable kitchen that truly inspires you to create. Stay with us until the end, because the solutions to transform this scenario are closer than you imagine. Chapter 1. Containers without lids and lids without containers. A drawer disaster. The classic container war. You open the cabinet, and there they are, an infinite number of containers without their respective lids, and, ironically, a tangle of lids with no containers to call their own. This mess, seemingly harmless at first glance, is a true nightmare when it comes to storing leftovers or organizing your pantry. You waste precious time searching for the perfect match, which leads to frustration and delays, especially when time is short. Furthermore, this disorganization takes up valuable space, making the cabinet chaotic and inefficient. The direct consequence of this confusion is that many containers end up underutilized, or worse, thrown away due to lack of organization. This represents a waste of money, as you might end up buying new containers unnecessarily. Think about how many times you've given up on storing something in a proper container because you simply couldn't find the corresponding lid. This lack of functionality directly affects your kitchen routine, turning simple tasks into big challenges. This disorganization also has a subtle but significant psychological impact. Opening a cabinet and being confronted with the chaos of containers can lead to a feeling of discouragement and helplessness. Instead of feeling pleasure in cooking and organizing, you're faced with the evidence of impending task. This small daily stress accumulates, contributing to an overall sense of overwhelm in your life. The problem worsens when you need to prepare meals in advance or organize lunch for the next day. The incessant search for a complete container becomes an obstacle that often leads to giving up. Imagine the scene. You have 10 minutes to pack your lunch, but you spend 5 of them trying to match containers and lids, delaying everything. It's a vicious cycle that affects your productivity and daily planning. In summary, the container mess is a clear symptom that your kitchen needs attention. It's not just about aesthetics, but about functionality, time, and well-being. Solving this problem not only frees up space and speeds up your tasks, but also removes a small, yet constant point of stress from your routine. It's the first step towards a more organized kitchen, and, consequently, more peaceful meals. Chapter 2. Expired or duplicated spices because you can't find what you need. Open your spice cabinet. What do you see? A sea of small jars, sachets, and boxes, some foul-smelling, others with obscure expiration dates, or simply empty. It's very common to find expired or duplicated spices in the kitchen, a direct result of the lack of an organizing system. You buy new cumin because you can't find the one you already had, and then discover 2 or 3 jars of the same spice, some untouched for years. This scenario not only wastes money, but also takes up valuable space. The most immediate consequence is financial waste. Every duplicated or expired spice represents money thrown away, a small amount that, added up, can turn into a considerable sum over time. Furthermore, the presence of expired spices can compromise the flavor and quality of your meals as their aroma and potency diminish over time. Cooking with fresh and effective ingredients is fundamental for delicious dishes. The difficulty in finding the right spice also directly impacts your cooking process. Imagine being in the middle of a recipe and having to stop everything to hunt for the oregano you know is somewhere, but which seems to have disappeared. This interruption breaks the flow of your cooking, adding stress and making the experience less enjoyable. Often, you end up substituting the spice with another or simply omitting it, altering the final result of the dish. Spice disorganization can lead to less creative and diversified cooking. If you can't visualize what you have available, you're less likely to experiment with new flavor combinations or use all the spices you own. The tendency is to always use the same ones, those that are most visible and accessible, limiting your culinary repertoire and making meals repetitive and less exciting. In summary, the spice mess is a clear sign that your kitchen is crying out for a smarter system. Organizing your spices alphabetically, for example, or investing in specific organizers can completely transform your culinary experience. This not only saves money and space, but also encourages you to explore new flavors, making the act of cooking more efficient, creative, and, above all, much more fun. Chapter 3. Pots and pans stacked, so picking the bottom one is torture. The scene is familiar. You need that specific pot for lunch, but it's at the bottom of an unstable tower of pots and pans. To get it, you have to carefully remove the others, risking knocking everything over or, at best, making a deafening noise. This method of stacking, although common due to lack of space, is one of the biggest triggers for frustration in the kitchen, turning a simple act into an arduous task. Inefficiency is the main consequence of this disorganization. Every time you need a pot or pan, you waste valuable time unstacking and res-tacking. Imagine the scene on a busy day, where every minute counts. This delay accumulates and affects your meal planning. Furthermore, constant clumsy handling can cause scratches and damage to nonstick coatings, decreasing the lifespan of your pots and pans. The risk of accidents is also a real concern. Precariously stacked pots can fall, causing damage to the floor, other utensils, or, worse, injuring someone. The loud and sudden noise of a tower of pots collapsing is stressful and frightening, creating an environment of tension in the kitchen, which should be a place of creativity and relaxation. It's a scenario no one wants to face. Space limitation is an aggravating factor. When pots and pans are not stored intelligently, they take up more space than necessary, making cabinets and drawers overcrowded and difficult to use. This can lead to a feeling that your kitchen is too small or that you don't have enough utensils, when in reality the problem is the lack of an efficient organizing system that optimizes the available space. In summary, the stack of pots and pans is a silent scream for a smarter storage solution. Investing in pot organizers, vertical racks, or even hooks to hang them can completely transform the functionality of your cabinet. By solving this problem, you not only save time and avoid accidents, but you also preserve your utensils and make the act of cooking much more fluid, pleasant, and stress-free. Chapter 4. Cutlery Drawer, where everything gets mixed up. The cutlery drawer. The cutlery drawer. Often, it becomes a true jumble of forks, knives, soup spoons, teaspoons, bottle openers, and who knows what else. This generalized mess makes you spend precious seconds, which become minutes throughout the week, searching for the right utensil for each meal. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but with the added aggravation that the needle is the fork you need to eat. Besides lost time, mixed cutlery can be a hygiene problem. Dirty or greasy utensils can end up coming into contact with clean ones, contaminating them even before they're used. Plus, the difficulty in separating what you need can lead to excessive handling, increasing the chances that they'll be touched by not-so-clean hands, compromising the overall cleanliness of your utensils. Disorganization can also lead to minor accidents. Who hasn't scratched themselves trying to grab a knife in the middle of a pile of other cutlery, or dropped an item on the floor while trying to disentangle the drawer? This situation, however trivial it may seem, adds an unnecessary level of stress to your routine, especially when you're in a hurry or distracted during meal preparation. The lack of a system in the cutlery drawer also affects the organization of other smaller utensils. It's common for bottle openers, squeezers, and other everyday items to end up tossed in there, contributing even more to the chaos. This means that in addition to cutlery, you'll have difficulty finding these other important accessories, making the drawer a true bottomless pit for everything small and metallic. An organized cutlery drawer is one of the pillars of a functional kitchen. Solving this mess with a good drawer organizer, with dividers for each type of utensil, is one of the most simple and effective solutions to optimize your time and reduce stress. You'll not only find what you need in seconds, but you'll also ensure the hygiene of your cutlery, making the act of preparing and serving meals much more practical and pleasant. Chapter 5: Countertops full of objects that don't belong in the kitchen. Do your kitchen countertops look like a dumping ground for mail, keys, school bags, toys, and other items that clearly have nothing to do with food preparation? This is a common sight in many homes, and one of the biggest signs that the kitchen is losing its primary function. Instead of being an efficient workspace, the countertop transforms into a dumping zone, accumulating objects that should be elsewhere. The most obvious consequence of this disorganization is the drastic reduction of workspace. Cooking requires free space for chopping, mixing, and assembling dishes. With the countertop cluttered, you find yourself squeezed, with no room to maneuver, which makes the cooking process slower and more stressful. This can even discourage you from preparing more elaborate meals, making you opt for quicker and less healthy options. Hygiene is also compromised. Objects that come from outside, like keys and bags, carry dirt and germs that can be transferred to the food preparation area. Furthermore, the difficulty in cleaning a countertop full of things increases the risk of crumbs and residue accumulating, attracting insects, and making the environment less safe for food handling. The accumulation of items unrelated to the kitchen also impacts your mental health. A cluttered countertop creates a visual sense of chaos and disorder, which can increase stress and anxiety levels. Instead of a welcoming and inviting space for cooking, the kitchen becomes another source of worry and a task to be avoided. It's hard to find pleasure in such an environment. In short, freeing up your countertops is crucial to restoring the functionality and tranquility of your kitchen. Identify items that don't belong there and find a suitable home for them. Invest in storage solutions for the correct areas of the house. By doing so, you not only reclaim essential workspace, but also improve hygiene, reduce stress, and transform your kitchen into a more inviting and efficient environment for your culinary activities. Chapter 6: Pantry where food gets lost in the back and expires. Have you ever opened your pantry and found a bag of flour you hadn't seen in months, or a tomato sauce that expired weeks ago, hidden behind other items? This is the reality in many kitchens. A disorganized pantry is a graveyard of lost and expired food, where what should be an efficient storage location turns into a labyrinth of forgotten products. The lack of visibility prevents you from using what you have before it spoils, resulting in waste. Food waste is the most serious consequence of a chaotic pantry. Food that expires before being consumed is money literally thrown in the trash, contributing to the global problem of food waste. Besides the financial impact, the act of throwing away food can generate a feeling of guilt and frustration, especially for those who are concerned about being more conscious consumers. Disorganization also affects your ability to plan meals. If you don't know what you have in the pantry or where it is, it's difficult to create an efficient weekly menu. You might end up buying items you already own, increasing clutter and the risk of more waste. This vicious cycle prevents you from making the most of your ingredients and optimizing your grocery trips. Pest proliferation is another risk. Expired food or open packages forgotten at the back of the pantry can attract insects and rodents. A clean and organized pantry, where food is visible and packages are well sealed, is fundamental to keeping your kitchen free of unwanted visitors. Hygiene and food safety are directly linked to the organization of this space. In short, your pantry needs a system, organizing by categories, using transparent containers for grains and pasta, and always placing items with the nearest expiration date at the front are simple steps that make a huge difference. By taming your pantry, you not only reduce waste and save money, but also facilitate meal planning and ensure your food is used more intelligently and safely. Chapter 7. Refrigerator so full you can't see what you have, and buy duplicates. Open your refrigerator right now. Is it so packed that you can barely see what's at the back? Or worse, do you smell that something that's expired? Odor? A crammed refrigerator is one of the biggest villains of kitchen organization, transforming what should be a preservation space into an area where food gets lost from sight, spoils, and is forgotten. It's the vicious cycle of not seeing what you have, buying duplicates, and ending up throwing things away. Food waste reaches its peak here. Fresh items like fruits and vegetables or dairy and deli meats have a limited shelf life. When hidden, it's very likely they'll expire before being noticed and consumed. This waste not only impacts your wallet, but also contributes to the global problem of food security. It's money and natural resources going to waste. Buying duplicate items is a direct consequence. You go to the supermarket without knowing you already have a jar of mustard or a bag of lemons at home. The result is unnecessary accumulation, which further overloads the refrigerator and pantry, in addition to increasing the risk of older items expiring before being used. It's an inefficiency that costs time and money. Hygiene and odors are also compromised. A full refrigerator makes it difficult for cold air to circulate, which can compromise food preservation. Furthermore, spoiled food or open packages can generate unpleasant odors and, in more severe cases, even the proliferation of bacteria. Cleaning becomes an arduous task, as you have to remove a multitude of items to reach the back. Transforming your refrigerator into an oasis of freshness and organization is essential. To do this, perform regular cleanings, discard expired items, and use transparent organizers to group similar items. Prioritize consuming what has the shortest shelf life and position food, so it's easily visible. A well-organized refrigerator not only saves money and reduces waste, but also facilitates meal preparation and improves the quality of the food you consume. Conclusion: see how your kitchen's disorganization goes far beyond visual clutter. Each of these 7 signs, from lidless containers to overcrowded refrigerators, directly impacts your meals, your time, and ultimately your well-being. A disorganized kitchen is a constant source of stress, waste, and frustration, preventing you from fully enjoying the act of cooking and eating. But the good news is that solving these problems is within your reach, and even small changes can have a huge impact. Start today by looking at your kitchen with fresh eyes. Identify critical points, declutter what no longer serves you, and invest in small organizing solutions that will make a big difference. Remember, an organized kitchen isn't just pretty, it's functional, inspiring, and an invitation for you to create more delicious meals and more enjoyable moments. So, is your kitchen crying for help? Now, you know exactly what to do. If you liked this video and the tips we shared, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming content on organization, well-being, and practical living. Your support is very important to us. See you next time.